And hello, everyone. Dave Bondy joined by Grace Sullivan right now in Ireland. So, something caught my attention on social media when it comes to speech and what's happening in Ireland. Ireland's been in the news a lot lately. Good to see you. Introduce yourself for all of our viewers.
Hi, so my name is Grace Sullivan. I'm a lawyer and also a member of an organization called Free Speech Ireland.
Now, currently, and I'm going to ask questions that may sound stupid, but questions that the average person in America may not know. Currently, what is free speech in Ireland? Here in the United States, it's something that we're, talking about a lot, that what is free speech? But what are the laws in Ireland? Can I criticize the government on social media in Ireland? What's the background in Ireland when it comes to free speech currently?
Yeah, so we have a constitution in Ireland which is quite detailed and lengthy. So we actually in Article 40.6.1, so that will explain a little bit about how lengthy it is. I think much longer than the US Constitution, but that article protects the rights of citizens to freely express their convictions and opinions. So that's listed under, fundamental rights in the Irish Constitution. So the freedom of speech is constitutionally protected. So we do have hate speech laws that are currently enacted. There's a 1989 statute. And I think some of the provisions there are perhaps a little bit concerning, but certainly there is, you have license to criticize the government in Ireland. It's very much done in the media, on social media. Yes, it is a place, I would say, generally of democracy and freedom of speech. But I think some of the impending proposed legislative changes are concerning in that area.
That's what caught my attention because recently here in the United States, there was a man who was arrested who made a meme on social media. And many people thought it was humorous, but the government thought it was trying to subvert an election. And there's been a lot of controversy about that. So in Ireland, what are the proposals? What is the controversy for the people who don't know? What are we going towards? What's being proposed?
Yeah, so effectively, I'll call it the hate speech bill that the government want to enact. There's two kind of key offences within that proposed legislation that will restrict, criminalise free speech. So Section 7 criminalizes communicating material to the public or a section of the public that is likely to incite hatred on the basis of certain protected characteristics which are outlined in the bill. So the mental standard required for this is intent or recklessness. So there's a lower mental threshold there. And so this is a little bit concerning because even though the bill purports to define what it means, what hatred means, it's not an adequate definition. It's simply in Section 2, it simply explains that hatred means hatred. There's no requirement that the speech that is criminalized be likely to cause harm or violence to any other person. There's no requirement for the prosecution to prove that the speech was successful in inciting hatred. So it's a particularly vague offense, which seems to have a low prosecutorial threshold and the potential to be abused, and particularly when it's criminalizing a fundamental human right protected under the Constitution. So that's concerning. But the bill goes a bit further. So it's also under Section 10, it's going to be an offense to possess material which is likely to incite hatred against people on account of their protected characteristics. So you haven't even communicated anything to anyone, but mere possession is a criminal offense. Again, recklessness, the mental standard of recklessness is sufficient. And also there are extensive search powers provided in Section 15. So if the police can prove that there are reasonable grounds for suspecting evidence related to an offence under Section 10 or Section 7 is present in any place. They can enter, they can search anyone there, they can seize property, and they can compel individuals to provide passwords to computers. So there's very extensive and invasive search powers under this bill.
It sounds very subjective because what I say to someone might be funny or a joke or just it sounds very, very subjective. It could be, I don't know, in your country, if the case, so every department or every judge or every law enforcement agency may have a different meaning of something. It sounds like it could be abused in Ireland.
Absolutely, and so that's one of the concerns because Irish judges through various jurisprudence have noted the importance of the criminal law both being clear but consistently applied. Because how else can a citizen know how to order their conduct to avoid criminal sanction? And so, how would that law be applied consistently by different juries or judges or across the country, and that's certainly a concern in terms of its constitutional validity.
How did this all come about? Was it a group of, we call them lawmakers, or how did this come to fruition? Was it a group in the country, or is it a movement of people? What brought this all about?
Well, it's the bill is 2022, so I can't profess to know much about, I suppose, the inception of it, but it's a government proposed piece of legislation, and some of the proposals are in response to things that are happening in Europe as well, and kind of recommendations there.
What is the next step? Is there a chance, obviously, you and others to voice their opposition? What is the next step for it to going into place? Like in America, I know how a bill becomes a law, and the House and the Senate and the president needs to sign something, but in each state has their own thing, like the Michigan governor. What is the next step in the process with this legislation?
Yeah, so we have two houses as well. So called the Dáil and the Seanad, which is effectively the Senate.
Okay.
So it's passed through all of the stages in the Dáil up until we'll call it the Senate. So it's on the third and final stage of the Senate. So after they're finished considering it, it goes back to the Dáil, and I think it's three final stages before then it gets finalized and passed. So there's a few more hoops it has to go through, but it has progressed pretty far through the parliamentary process in Ireland.
Wow, and they have not revised it as to more specific wording, or it doesn't sound like they've changed a lot of it.
No, I think it's pretty much intact. Maybe some minor amendments, but yeah, I certainly watched some kind of pushbacks from opposition parties, but in general, I think the government is remaining pretty resolute in terms of the wording proposed.
Wow. The video that I saw about this, from you or your group, it has a lot of Americans just shocked and upset and surprised, and we're talking on both political parties
Mm.
because no matter who the ruling party is, you could find something offensive. How are the people in Ireland, the average people out in the coffee house or wherever you may walk around, do they know about this, and are they as upset as I think they might be?
Yeah, it's sometimes it's difficult to know what the public sentiment is around these things, and it's not always easy to tell from perhaps media reporting. But certainly, I know that there is concern, and I've witnessed that, and different gatherings to inform people about it. And I think Free Speech Ireland is doing a very good job of trying to educate the public and make them aware of how their rights are threatened and how they should be concerned. And I know that a video that they did of the topic in their current campaign has got millions of views, which is amazing. But certainly, I think, I suppose I can't really speak in terms of what the general feeling is, but I think it's something that is perhaps should have spurred more debate from the start, but certainly it's gaining momentum in terms of debate in Ireland.
Probably the best thing we can do is continue to educate people because the people need to be involved and they're living there. It's their laws. So, is there anything legally like you can do, or I guess groups can try to persuade, but there's no intervention with actually because it's not a law yet. So there's nothing legally that can be done, correct? Because it's really not a law at this time.
No, exactly. So I think more educating the public and trying to put political pressure on the government to listen, to realize that people are concerned about this, to realize that it's not people are against it, it might not be popular, and to try and convince them to change course, I suppose, in terms of enacting this proposed piece of legislation. So I think it's more putting political pressure on political representatives, voicing your concerns that you're not happy, and also, informing the public, whatever you can do to sort of garner support and put pressure on the government, I suppose.
Last question. There's a lot of concern here in the United States about free speech, and a lot of it comes with social media companies. But we're seeing some people here saying, well, I could never see that happening in the United States. But now there's people saying they can see it. And this is happening, as you said, across the country. To me, personally, as a former, I was a journalist, it's frightening to see this trend across the world. It's a little scary for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something we might not have envisaged or foreseen happening, but I think there are certain kind of pressure points in society, or things that there are disagreements about, and perhaps attempts to stifle speech on those areas, which isn't helpful, because I'm sure you agree that robust debate and being able to freely speak about things is the way that society advances and democracy is protected. So I think we need to be able to speak about pressure points in society.
I appreciate you taking the time. I would love to visit there one time. I'm half Irish, and my mom, who passed away a year ago, is her goal to go to Ireland. So she wasn't able to, and I would like to at some time. And if I do, would like to look you up and say hello.
Yes, please do. We'd love to have you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.